And welcome back. Good to have you with us here at 5:30 with Moses Small in for Tammy Melchuk. Tonight, I'm Jim Scott. Over the past 3 days, you have met 3 families who lost one or more loved ones to the drug fentanyl, a powerful synthetic opioid sold on the street that oftentimes is disguised as a pharmaceutical painkiller, and it is killing people at an alarming rate. All of the victims you have met thus far in our 5-part series have been in their 20s and 30s. Tonight, we look at a victim from another, even more vulnerable age group, a teenager.
Over the past 4 months, 17's Robert Price has been exploring this growing danger, and tonight, in part 4 of his series, he looks at the dramatic reach of fentanyl, the counterfeit killer.
Fentanyl was a problem before the pandemic.
They're selling death.
Straight fentanyl.
He was laying right there on the bed.
Will they kill you? Sure.
This should not have happened.
And it happened to me.
And he was trying to do CPR on him.
We see it more and more.
She was a good kid, but she tried to self-medicate.
There's nothing else you can do, and they said no.
There's ways you can die.
People who are dying from overdoses of fentanyl.
I can't treat you once you're dead.
Killing our children.
We have to, as a community, figure this out.
It was February 19th, 2020. Katie Kokenauer walked into a restroom a few steps down the hall from Aspire Behavioral Health, her counseling program, and she locked the door. She did not walk out. Locked inside, she pulled out a small sheet of aluminum foil, laid a crushed blue pill on top, heated it from the bottom with a cigarette lighter, brought a cut-off plastic straw to her lips and leaned in, slowly inhaling the swirling, smoky vapor. Chasing the dragon is called. Yes, a pill. Counterfeit oxycodone. Active ingredient, fentanyl. A lethal substance manufactured, in this case, not under sterile, pharmacologically rigorous conditions, but most likely in the kitchen or garage of an illicit drug operation in LA or in Mexico. And as happened with 124 other people in Kern County last year, most of them under 30 and white, it killed her. Katie Kokenauer, just 18 years old, was no hardened crackhead, no addled drug addict.
Oh, she was really pretty. I loved her freckles, and she had like the brightest eyes. And she had pale skin, but it looked like porcelain, so it looked super cute with the freckles. I loved it. And a cute little button nose.
Corinne Ingstrad said Katie Kokenauer was her twin flame. Close friends, sometimes too much alike.
Very, very loud, would want to make friends with everybody. Super funny. She could make me laugh so hard I would get the hiccups.
And now, February 19th, 2021, a year later, some of Katie's friends and relatives have gathered in a West Bakersfield park to send her their personal messages, scribbled on helium balloons, purple balloons, her favorite color.
Where are they going?
They're going to heaven to Katie.
Magda Brocaire was one of the people there. Katie had lived for a time at Brocaire's sober living home, Amethyst. And now Brocaire wanted to not only honor Katie's memory, she wanted to make an impression on 2 of her current charges at Amethyst.
I like having them come to something like this so they can see how it affects the families and see how absolutely real it is too. Because that's something in somebody's addiction, they're not thinking about that. And seeing the mom, seeing the grandma still completely so brokenhearted, and I don't think that ever goes away.
Katie's mother, Casey Jackson, still can't quite let her daughter go. She spoke to her in a special way on Katie's birthday last year, the first since her passing, delivering 1,800 ladybugs to friends and family members who simultaneously at dusk sent them flying into the San Joaquin Valley sky. That's one way Jackson copes. This is another. She's trying to be there for other parents who've lost children to fentanyl.
I'm trying to bring awareness so other families don't go through what I have. I've already met 7 or 8 families just this year. And they're going through the same thing. It's awful. I just want it to stop.
Making that happen will be a challenge, a significant challenge. Katie immersed herself in a culture that, according to her friend Ingstrad, is expanding.
People aren't learning, and I think it's starting to be introduced more into high school kids. I feel like it's definitely within the past few years. I've only been graduated for like a year and a half, but like looking at like girls that are freshmen now and talking about it, and 15, 16-year-olds, like even 5 years ago, like it's different, like how much drugs have changed.
Still, the questions, the nagging questions. For starters, how does an 18-year-old get her hands on counterfeit oxycodone, fentanyl pills? Answer: with that handy little ubiquitous device most of us carry around like extra appendages, the cell phone. Many of those fentanyl deaths, 125 last year, according to the county coroner's office, were facilitated through social media, primarily Snapchat, and cheery little advertisements like this one. How do you fight social media postings like that? How about with more social media? I'll introduce you next to another Bakersfield mother who hopes to heal herself and her family in precisely that way as they and a growing number of U.S. families deal with this scourge. That's why we're telling these stories, because families that have suffered the profound loss of a child, a sibling, a friend, don't always, until it's too late, grasp the cruel tenacity of fentanyl, a synthetic cousin of heroin and opium that has already ravaged other areas of the country and is now in Kern County, where it's a common and deadly additive in a wide range of street drugs. It's well past time to shine a bright, revealing light on fentanyl, the counterfeit killer. For 17 News, Robert Price.
Now, we should note that this series was produced by 17's Steve Womack. Now, if you or someone you know could use help with fentanyl or some other drug in terms of recovery or support, here are some options.
You can call the Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services hotline at 1-800-991-5272 or the National Substance Abuse Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP. That's 4357. We know of two local Facebook options, stepsofchange.org and a missing piece of My Heart Substance Support Group. You can log on to onedoorrecovery.org, which offers addiction treatment services, or BakersfieldRecoveryServices.com, which we should note is offering free 2-packs of Narcan, a nasal spray that can bring someone back from an opioid overdose. You can find them online. You can also purchase Narcan, the brand name for the drug naloxone. 2 packs are $60. Just ask your pharmacist.
And we are joined now once again by 17's Robert Price. Bob, we're 4 days into this eye-opening series of reports and a job well done by you. We know what it's like, or we're beginning to grasp how bad it is here in Kern County. What's it like in other cities across the country as far as fentanyl is concerned? Is it this bad everywhere?
It's this bad and worse in many parts of the West, especially in San Diego. There's a 200% increase between 2019 and 2020. In San Francisco, just this Tuesday, San Francisco police did a single bust where there's enough fentanyl to kill the entire population of that city 4 times over. Oh my goodness. It's bad everywhere.
And the Sheriff's Department, as well as other local and regional agencies, they don't know what's going on, but what's being done at the state, federal level?
Not much at the state level. There has been some efforts to kind of go after fentanyl dealers the same way we go after DUI convictions.
Repeat
Let them know
exactly
that they can be charged with second-degree murder, which they can already, but they want to have the judge be able to tell them that in open court. At the federal level, we just had Vice President Kamala Harris in Guatemala and Mexico. She talked to the President of Mexico about the crisis at the border, but also about the situation at the ports there, where the precursor drugs for fentanyl are coming in from China, going to the Sinaloa cartels, and then they spread it to the U.S.
And then we heard the Biden administration yesterday talking about more funding to fight opioid addiction in this country, so that ties in with this story as well. What's up for tomorrow, Bob?
We're going to have Carrie Walker, who lost 2 sons to opioid addiction, or to opioids in any case, and she's using her anger and her passion and her heartbreak to reach out to other people.
All right, we look forward to that, Bob. Again, job well done. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay.